would have delayed the resurrection until Monday afternoon at the earliest. Fourth, in Matthew 16:28, Jesus made one of those classic predictions that have haunted his supporters ever since and has forced them to concoct an endless number of rationalizations to explain its failure. He said, quote, "Verily I say unto you, there be some standing here who shall not taste of death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom." Unquote. And in Mark 9:1 he said, quote, "Some of them that stand here shall not taste of death till they have seen the kingdom of God come with power." Unquote. These prophecies clearly show that Christ's coming was to occur during the lifetime of then existing persons. Yet when did the kingdom of God come with power? Biblicist try to use as an escape hatch 2 Peter 3:8, which says, "Be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day." Unquote. But they can't use it. They can't use this verse. Why? Because Jesus stated that his contemporaries would see his return. Yet all of his contemporaries have passed away, and the people of God still await the kingdom of God's arrival. Unquote. I'm sorry, no quote there. Fifth, another prophecy that has tied supporters of Jesus into knots is found in Mark 13:30-31, which says, quote, "Verily, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled and be done. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away." Unquote. Jesus made this statement after listing a wide assortment of events that were to occur. Yet no one has seen the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, nor has he sent his angels to gather the elect from all parts of the world. The sun has not become darkened. The moon has not failed to reflect light, and the stars have not fallen from heaven. Nearly 2,000 years have passed, and this prophecy remains unfulfilled, although Jesus stated it would be fulfilled in the lifetime of his generation. On page 46 in the book entitled The Future Explored, apologist Tim Weber addressed this very issue and made some frank admissions. After discussing some minor verses, he said, quote, "Those verses aren't too difficult, but those which follow have caused Bible scholars all kinds of trouble." Unquote. And then he quotes Mark 13:30-31, which I just cited, and says, quote, "In these verses, the problem lies in the meaning of this generation and these things. Normally, one would take this generation to refer to those living in Jesus' day, and these things to refer to the same things as in the previous verse. But you can see the problem. If we go along with that interpretation, then Jesus was obviously mistaken. The coming of the Son of Man did not occur during the lifetime of those hearing the prophecy on the Mount of Olives." Unquote, Weber. Weber then continues, quote, "There have been many attempts to deal with this problem. As we might expect, liberal scholars claim there's no problem at all. Jesus was simply mistaken. He thought the end would occur within a few years, but obviously blew it. Conservative scholars, on the other hand, have offered a number of other interpretations. Many evangelicals argue this generation should be translated as this race. Thus, Jesus is saying that the human race, or Israel for some, as some contend, will not pass away before his parousia, his returning. The Greek does allow some justification for this translation, says Weber, but it doesn't seem to make much sense. Is it really necessary for Jesus to predict that someone will be alive at the time of his appearing? Another more recent evangelical interpretation contends that this generation refers to the last generation before Christ returns, whenever that may be. His contention is, therefore, that within a generation of the founding of modern Israel, the second coming will occur. Since Israel was established in 1948, and a biblical generation is roughly 40 years, he cites Psalm 95:10 to prove that, we should expect the second coming by 1987 at the outside, unquote Weber. And since 1987 is come and gone, we can now toss another theory onto the scrap heap. 6. In Matthew 17:11-13, Jesus says, quote, Elias truly shall come first and restore all things, but I say unto you that Elias is come already. Then the disciples understood that he spoke to them of John the Baptist. Unquote. If John the Baptist is Elias, as Jesus alleges, then the obvious question becomes, what did John the Baptist restore? The answer is nothing. Absolutely nothing. 7. In Luke 23:43, Jesus said to the thief on the cross, Today thou shalt be with me in paradise. But how could they have been together in paradise on that day if Jesus lay in the tomb 3 days? 8th and lastly, one need only read Matthew 20:19, Mark 10:33-34, and Luke 18:32-33 to see that Jesus clearly predicted he would be killed by the Gentiles. But it is equally clear from reading John 19:14-18 that he was killed by the Jews, not the Gentiles. In summary then, these are only some of the examples one could relate to show that the prophetic capabilities of Jesus are far closer to those of crystal ball enthusiasts than perfection. As we mentioned earlier, a far more extensive list of false prophecies by Jesus is in our 24th program. And finally, any discussion of the Bible's predictive accuracy simply wouldn't be complete without a brief analysis of the biblical book that is associated with prophetic accuracy more than any other. I'm speaking, of course, of the book of Revelation. As far as prophecy is concerned, no book is cited by more apologists. Biblicists neglect to mention the fact, however, that the book is quoted by so many because it is understood by so few. In fact, it's so vague, so nebulous, so fantastic that one theory is as good as another insofar as interpretation is concerned. Anyone who has read the book can understand why Martin Luther said on pages 398 to 400 in volume 35 of his works, quote, this is Martin Luther speaking on the book of Revelation, quote, I miss more than one thing in this book, and it makes me consider it to be neither apostolic nor prophetic. They are supposed to be blessed who keep what is written in this book. And yet no one knows what that is, to say nothing of keeping it. This is just as the same as if we didn't have the book at all. My spirit cannot accommodate itself to this book. Christ is neither taught nor known in it. Many have tried their hands at it, but until this very day they have attained no certainty. Some have even brewed into it many stupid things out of their own heads. Because its interpretation is uncertain and its meaning hidden, we have let it alone until now, especially because some of the ancient fathers held that it was not the work of St. John the Apostle.